Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 8 of the BillyJoe Podcast. I'm your boy Billy.
I am Joe.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate the support. Please do like, subscribe, and share all our videos, all our content. Subscribe to our YouTube at the BillyJoe Podcast and on Instagram at the BillyJoe Podcast. Now, Joe,
Bill.
episode 8.
Episode 8, my friend.
How good, man? How good?
It is. We've got a special one tonight.
We do. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got the one and only big fan of the show, Mr. Anthony Salame.
I am a big fan of the show. Thanks for having me.
Anthony, thank you for coming, my friend.
Yeah, oh man, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, boys.
No, you're an absolute legend, bro. Thank you so much for coming on, man. How you been?
Oh, I've been good, man. I've been sorry I'm late, by the way. I know I came a little bit late. That's a bit rude.
No
of me.
problems,
So
mate.
Don't be silly, mate. It's fine.
I was.
That's very Lebanese of you.
I know, right? I know. It's as expected. Saying it to my wife as I left, like, man, I'm gonna be like half an hour late, and she's like, "They're Lebanese. You're Lebanese.
We get it.
You're on time. And
We
I'm
get
like,
it. We get it.
You're actually early. You're actually half an hour early for going by Lebanese time."
Oh
I'm
God.
like, okay, I don't
This
feel
one's
so
going to be a
bad.
good one.
I don't feel so bad, but I had to, I'll tell you why I was late. I had to have dinner because I was on this 3-day water fast. Have you guys ever done a water fast? Or
I haven't.
I've done a juice fast for 8 days.
yeah, wow.
Yeah.
8 days, yeah.
Was that tough?
Mate, first 3 days, but day 3 was tough.
Yeah. Well, now, were you juicing yourself, or were you getting Spring Valley from the server?
Nah, so there's a lady that I came across online. She's obviously, a lot of people recommended me to her. Mate, it was just she prepared everything for me. Every 3 days, she'll drop me off a new batch.
Yeah.
So that obviously from day 1 till 3, she'll drop it off to me. Then on day 3, she'll drop me off the juices for the rest of the week.
Okay.
And to be honest, it worked wonders. Mentally, physically. I know you probably can't tell now.
No, you look great, bro. You look great.
You too, bro.
I was doing a water fast, so like nothing but water, a little bit of black coffee. I like to do it every 6 months. Usually I go 48 hours. I was trying to do 72 hours.
Yeah.
And I had a big day today, and I knew I had the podcast tonight, and I'm filming tomorrow. I said, so I broke at 60 hours, but man, I had a boiled egg. You have to have something. You can't have sugar or anything. You have to have something really easy on the stomach to digest. That was the greatest boiled egg I've ever eaten in my life.
I can imagine.
Man.
I can imagine.
Out, man.
Nah,
it was amazing.
It's heaven.
My brother's done a 7-day water fast,
Yeah.
Wow.
but I'll give you a tip, right, Anthony? Don't do a water fast to fit into a suit for a wedding and then binge drink
Oh, no.
because you end up in hospital.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine. Did he end up in hospital?
Of course he
my
did.
God.
Did he?
Bro, it was...
Because he's empty, bro. He's got
It was
nothing.
absolutely... Yeah. It was...
Nothing protecting him.
It was a sight for sore eyes, let me tell you.
You really got to ease into it. You know, I had like a boiled egg, and then I had like a little bit of Greek yogurt. You got to have like really...
Light, very light.
So do you know what happens to your body when you go into a water fast? Like after 24 hours, they say you hit a process called autophagy, where your bad cells start to die off, and it's kind of like a recycling of the body, a natural recycle. You know, it's not a coincidence that, you know, in the Bible they talk about fasting. Well, in any faith really, fasting is always a pillar. It's because, you know, it's good for us.
Yeah, indeed.
Absolutely.
We just consume so much stuff on a regular basis.
On that, I just think about the times, obviously, like not medieval times, of like caveman days. Back in those days, like I don't believe they had a time for breakfast, time for lunch, time for dinner.
No.
I think that obviously, which is what we call these days intermittent fasting. They'll obviously bank up. They'll eat at a certain time and probably not eat all day until they catch their food.
But they'll probably hunt and probably eat once a week.
That's right.
Exactly right.
What we call intermittent fasting, they called life.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
They called Tuesday. It's and I don't think we're meant to eat these 3 big meals a day. You know, it's it's funny. Like people go to me, oh man, after 24 hours you're gonna feel amazing. After 45 minutes, I was starving. I was like, someone get me a steak.
Yeah, bro.
100%.
But it's good to be here. Thanks for having me, boys.
More than welcome, mate.
More than we want to start from early on. We've actually met before, right? And it was funny just before I'd met you, and I'm going to cast your mind back, right? I'm going to actually spin you out here.
Yeah.
But it'd been about a month that I'd found you on YouTube. And it was this one video, mate, if I tell you, I was in stitches, right? And it was watched constantly, right? And I don't know your material, if I tell you what was in there, if you can cast your mind back to that specific moment. But it was in a segment where you're on stage. I'm not sure if it was like a comedy festival or at one of your shows. And there was a part in there where you go, Brad Pitt grows a beard. He's the world's sexiest man.
Yeah.
You grow a beard that you're an alleged terror suspect.
Yeah. Wow. That's like 20 years ago, man.
That's early, yeah.
That's probably my that joke was in like my first 5 minutes.
Okay.
Ever.
So if I tell
Wow.
you,
You remembered that, man.
the whole segment, mate, you had me in stitches. A month later, so I'm at university at the time, 21 years of age. I'm 40 years old now.
Yeah.
At 21 or 22, I was at university and I had a side gig, like I was doing courier driving. So I've got this package and it's telling me to go to King's Cross. So I drive up to the cross and I get out and they got this like plaza. Never seen it in my life, just to the side of the Coca-Cola sign.
Yeah.
Where the shops are.
Where the shops are. So I walk in and it's taking me to these dry cleaners right at the back.
Yeah.
And then I see Mr. Anthony Salame standing inside.
100%.
What?
That was a family business, I understand.
No. A friend of mine, I used to work for a friend of mine delivering dry cleaning.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is the thing. For the first 7-8 years of doing comedy, I worked 2-3 jobs just to, because you don't start comedy and you're doing free gigs for the first 5 to 10 years. You're out there trying to just make something of yourself. And I delivered pizzas. I did that for a few years. I delivered dry cleaning in Sydney CBD.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you were there not for long then. You would have been dropping off something and taking off.
That's right. I do like maybe 2 pickups a day. Like I do a morning
That's
pickup
fake,
and an
bro.
afternoon pickup.
So when I saw you, right, and this is what I love. This is what made me put your jokes aside, which I fell in love with you. But then to meet you in person, right, and I called out to you, and I said to you, Anthony, you looked at me like, okay, this guy recognizes me. I go, mate, I'm a big fan.
This is pre-social media days, yeah?
Yeah.
Pre-YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube wasn't a big thing back then.
It wasn't massive, but
It was probably just Facebook, if that.
I'll tell you now, I didn't have Instagram,
There you go.
right? And I asked for a photo. And mate, you made that moment one of the most memorable moments for myself. And ever since then, I've just always backed you.
God bless you, brother.
But that's a testament to you, Anthony. And you, who were you then? Let's be honest.
I was a dry cleaning delivery driver.
there you go. So you didn't know where things were, where life was going to take you.
Yeah.
And automatically, and just like a domino effect, whoever was around me, I made them love Anthony. You know what I mean? Because you'll be like, oh, look at this, he's the funniest guy, and I'll rip out my phone and I'll show video after video, and then that's how your supporter base grows, doesn't it? By you just being humble,
Thanks,
by being genuine, and you win us over.
Well, I think thank you. They're very nice words, bro. Honestly, and I really appreciate that. But I think forget about the career or wanting to take photos with people that follow your stuff. I think what a lot of people forget about is we just got to be good humans, and that's something that I've tried to be my whole life. I've gone off that path sometimes, and maybe made some choices in life that maybe weren't the best choices, whether it be career choices or lifestyle choices or whatever. But I guess that's all part of the journey, right? That's all part of everyone's journey. But and God bless my parents. I think they did a great job raising me and my brothers. I think, we always we were just taught to be good people and to respect everybody. And man, you got to think of me in that position, a 20-year-old kid in his 20s, just starting out his comedy career, and someone coming up to him and say, "Hey, can I have a photo?" Like, even still till now, 20 years in, I'm quite honored that someone wants to take a photo with me, man. That's a lot. That's, someone stopping their day to say, "Hey, I appreciate what you do." So, man, I appreciate that.
Nah,
bro.
thank you.
I think that obviously we've touched on it. That comes a lot to your upbringing and the way you are as a human being. Not going to name names, but there are some people out there that don't always stop and want to have a photo, take a photo with a fan or anything like that. Maybe they're gobsmacked that someone's asking for a photo, they don't know how to handle it, or maybe it's just their character, and it could get annoying at times. I've never been in that position to be annoyed to take a photo.
Yeah.
I'm sure Amph hasn't either, but bro, testament to your parents, obviously, they've raised good humans.
God bless them.
God, that's awesome, bro. Me and you, we've crossed paths over the times, over the years.
We've worked together.
Worked together a few times on a couple of gigs. Yeah. Obviously seen each other out on the Sydney nightlife, and we've got a lot of mutual friends. I like what Joey said is you're real. You're very real. Like, what you say is what you get with you.
Yeah, I think so. I try to be real, man.
You're just a good bloke that is absolutely funny and hilarious. And what you see on here's where I'm going with this. What you see on camera these days with someone on social media isn't necessarily who they are as a person in real life. I'd like to think I'm the same person I am on social media as I am in real life. But yeah, you're definitely that. What you are, what you see is what you get. And do you find that hard to do, or is it just a natural thing? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, is it just?
Do you mean like as in
you don't put on a show
with the comedy, or
like as a man, like you can be funny on the street.
Yeah, like I said,
you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. I kind of am who I am. I think when I'm on stage doing comedy, it's like me times 5-10%, because if I brought this kind of energy to the stage, people would be falling asleep. But you gotta maybe just put a little bit more of a performance on. But man, I always try to be myself, and I never understood why people put on a show or try to be someone that they're not, or I just don't know how to do that. I'd probably look very uncomfortable if I tried to do that. So
obviously we'll come down to who you are as a person, right? Where does your story begin? What area did you grow up in? You've mentioned brothers. How many siblings? What school did you go to?
All right, so I was born in Adelaide.
Radelaide. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
any Lebos there?
There
were.
I got cousins there.
Yeah.
I've been there a couple times. Yeah, there is.
I actually loved my childhood in Adelaide. So I lived in Adelaide. I grew up there till I was about 11 years old. Then we moved to Sydney as a family. But obviously, as a family, imagine an 11-year-old moving states on his own. I mean, I'm independent, but come on. But I loved it, man. Like, we had a great community. The Lebanese community, it was very small, but it was great. Like, Sundays, there was like St. Maroon's Church, which was it was kind of what you want out of a church, a parish, like, basketball after mass in the car park.
Tight-knit
talent nights, and everyone would get involved, and everyone would hang around afterwards. This was in the 80s and early 90s. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
So the childhood in Adelaide was great. I got two older brothers. I'm the youngest. And I grew up just wanting to do the things they wanted to do. They were into like hip hop music and writing rap songs, and I tried to do that. But I always, and I don't really remember this, but people in my family tell me I always tried to make people laugh. I was always that young kid that when my parents would have friends over, I'd like stand in the front of the living room, and
So it was always a part of you.
It was always a part of me.
Wow.
Man. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, is there any better feeling than just laughing with friends? And
No.
There's no better
No.
feeling. So I think I love that so much, and I just held on to it, and I thought to myself, and I remember being in high school, finishing off high school, not really knowing which direction I wanted to go in, but that was the dream, The dream was, oh man, I'd love to do something with comedy, or, But the dream felt too far-fetched because, like you said, there was no YouTube, there was no social media. I graduated high school in the late 90s, so like there was none of that stuff around.
What school did you go to? High school in Sydney?
I went to Patrician Brothers Fairfield.
Fairfield Pats, yeah.
Fairfield Pats for the first half of my high school, and then the second half I went to Cecil Hills High School.
I went to Parramatta.
Cecil Hills.
I went to Parramatta Morris, so it's not we're in the same sort of same catchment.
Yeah. So childhood was good, man. My parents, hard workers, typical immigrant parents, we didn't have vacations. We didn't have holidays. Like where we lived in Adelaide, the only holiday we'd have is like coming to Sydney in the car for 19 hours. One of my brothers was like very overweight at that time. I'd sit in the middle, very uncomfortable.
Get your lungs crushed.
Listening to my Walkman. Yeah. I remember, man, my favorite cassette tape, I had Boys to Men, Cooley High Harmony on side one. And on the second side was Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style. So that's that was my childhood as a
very nostalgic,
very young kid.
That's awesome. Can I
yeah.
just ask, your parents, they came from Lebanon?
Correct.
What village?
My dad's from Kfar de Bien, which is near Faraya, near the snow mountains and that. But he grew up in Beirut, in Jisr al-Basha. And my mum is from the north, from Barasha.
So
near Bsharre and
I'm from Hatchit.
Near Hatchit, neighbours.
Yeah,
Neighbours, there you go.
So,
my wife's from Blauser.
oh, wow, okay.
So have I made the circle now?
Not just quite,
Not
brother.
yet, sorry,
You're
bro.
not age. So, Anthony, bro, when did your parents move from Lebanon to Australia?
Well, my parents actually met here.
Here?
Yeah, they met here.
That's
They
different.
met in Sydney. They got married here. They had my oldest brother, and then they moved to Adelaide. Like apparently there was like a lot of work going on in Adelaide back then. There was a cool little community, as I mentioned. So they moved there, and they were there for nearly 20 years, and then we came back to Sydney. So
That's where I was going with this, because a lot of the Lebanese people that immigrated from overseas, their first destination was Sydney.
Yeah.
Redfern, Marrickville area.
Well, actually, the first Lebanese that migrated to Australia they went to Adelaide
Did they?
in the 1800s. Yeah.
Oh.
It's a little bit of a history
I
lesson.
thought it was,
there.
the 60s,
Majority.
70 and all
Yeah.
that? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, in the 1900s, man, the Lebs flocked Sydney, that's for sure. They're still flocking Sydney.
That's it, bro.
Yeah.
Now, sorry, John.
No, go on.
Obviously, you moved from Adelaide to here. Teenage years raised in Sydney.
Raised in Sydney, man.
What was that like, man? Like, did you play rugby league? Did you play any sports? Were you into anything like that?
I played, as a kid, I played a little bit of AFL in Adelaide because that's what you do.
Yep.
But it was always basketball for me, man.
Oh, okay.
Always. That's the only kind of sport I played. That's the sport I watched. Michael Jordan, that was my my childhood.
Yeah,
you know
100%.
what I mean? So
What an era, bro.
my son now, he's nearly 2 years old. I don't let him watch TV, but I let him watch Michael Jordan highlights.
Absolutely.
Good man.
What about that Snoop Doggy Dog CD? Is he allowed to listen to that one or not yet?
Yeah. I remember, my brothers, they actually they went to, there was a concert, Cool Naughty Pain, Coolio, Naughty by Nature, and House of Pain came. I was too young to attend, but I remember them like fighting with my parents, like that they really wanted to go to this concert because like 60 Minutes did a whole report saying, Snoop Dogg, he was on trial for murder, and my parents are like, Shubadak Bahid and Snoopy Dogg, and like they were kind of like losing their minds, thinking that he would probably corrupt them in some kind of way. But man, wasn't music good back then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mate,
It's
the best.
definitely. What's happening today doesn't come close.
I'm just thinking, bro, like the shit the stuff we used to listen to musically. Imagine that was to be like, we came out fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like we still came out all right.
Yeah, but
There was substance to the music we used to listen to.
Yeah.
Even though, if you listen to rap music or to hip hop, and there was that element of a bit of violence, but that was real. That was
Correct,
real
yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Like if you grew up in Western Sydney, you boys both grew up in Western Sydney,
yeah.
right? we all had friends that kind of maybe took that route, that maybe went into jail, maybe they got into, like we knew people like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We were around that kind
It
of
was
thing.
relevant.
It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
we were going to turn out like that. But I think the music these days, it's all about like doing hardcore drugs and you know, like just it's
Not
just crazy.
not tasteful. That's for
and
sure.
and it's just, there's no substance to it.
There's no soul. There's no soul.
Yeah,
no
there's
soul.
it's just so repetitive and 2 minutes and then it's over. Like, where's the bridge, man? Where's the hook? Where, you know?
Yeah,
It's
you
So,
know
um,
it. You know it, bro.
There was a clip on Joe. I think his name's Joe Choi, the comedian.
Joe Coy.
Coy.
Yeah.
He done this clip, man. He
Oh, the
fucking
Biggie bit.
Biggie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
that's
erupted,
great.
huh? They erupted, bro.
Bro.
He's
He-
amazing, Joe Coy. I used to tour with that guy. He is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh, he.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. That's That's
Jump the gun.
Now,
uh
I first discovered you. This is before we knew each other. I think it would have been 04, 05.
Okay.
I'm gonna cast you back
Very early on.
very early on from Lebanon with love.
Yeah, that was, wow.
Mate, I went to that. This was obviously at a time where no one done a show like that. Nobody ever put a show out like that. You know,
I was very fortunate to be a part of that show.
I want to backtrack a bit now.
Okay.
So you grew up in obviously Adelaide, moved to Sydney, loved basketball, loved your rap, your hip hop, worked at a dry cleaners for a friend to make. Like when did you decide that, you know what, I'm actually funny, I'm good enough here to actually take this, make a career out of
I
this?
still don't know if I'm good enough.
No, you're very good, man.
You know, I'll tell you where the love came from. I remember clearly where the love came from. This was back when I was in Adelaide, and like I said, I wanted to do whatever my older brothers were doing. You know, I got two older brothers. One's 2 years older. One's 7 years older, and they were into all that stuff. And I remember being at my cousin's house one day, and all the guys were sitting around, and they were watching Eddie Murphy Delirious.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you got to remember, this is probably early 90s. I didn't know what stand-up comedy was. Like there's no YouTube, there's no stand-up comedy on television. It's not a career that you know exists, especially not in Australia, maybe in America where it was created. It was an art form that's from America. So in Australia back then, all I knew was this guy's on stage saying this outrageous stuff and everyone, like thousands of people are laughing. So I got a hold of this videotape and I would come home from school every single day and watch it. No word of a lie. Every single day I'd come home.
Delirious
Eddie
Wow.
Murphy. So the first couple of weeks, my mum would hear this and she'd be in the kitchen or preparing dinner, and she'd hear me and she'd like lose her mind saying like, what is this, all this fuck like all this.
I mean, fuck me.
Exactly. Like what's all, so and then after like a month or so, she forgot about that. She's like, how can you watch the same thing every single day? Aren't you sick of it? But I loved it. And I'm like, man, this is phenomenal. I still didn't know what it was. I didn't know that was stand-up comedy. And then the next stage was going back in the days of cassette tapes, I came across a cassette tape in my brother's collection. And it was this guy, like, I don't know if you're going to get the reference, but it was a guy it was like a live comedy show. But like I said, I didn't know that was stand-up comedy. And he'd do nursery, right, like dirty nursery rhymes. And he's had this New York accent. So eventually I found out it was Andrew Dice Clay. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Andrew Dice Clay.
Never heard of it. No.
So he's a New York comedian. He plays this like character, but very dirty, very... and I was like, oh my goodness, like these guys are just like cracking jokes and people are losing their minds. So that is where the seed was planted for stand-up comedy for me.
How old were you?
Oh man, I would have been 9-10 years old.
Oh, from early. That's very early.
That's
on.
early.
Very early on.
Very early.
So
So
when you sorry, go on.
no, go.
Finish.
All right, so the next kind of thing for me was when I was in school, a show called, there was a show called Acropolis Now.
Yes.
Nick Giannopoulos.
Nick
Yes.
Giannopoulos, George Capignaris.
I had the DVDs when I was in my teens. Like my
Yeah.
dad used to give them to us.
Yeah, so
They're
like,
cracker.
and then I'd watch them as a young kid, and I'd be like, these are the only dudes on television that look like me, and you know they're referencing Lebanese people sometimes, and it blew my mind.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, this is so good. It became like my favorite thing to watch.
Still-
I'd come home from school every day. It was on like 4 o'clock every
Edgy
day.
Mako.
Yeah,
Edgy
yeah.
Mako.
So still not knowing this is
Comedy.
Yeah, like I didn't know that this is a pathway to have a career, you know. I just thought this is just phenomenal. I love hearing this stuff and you know, and then Fat Pizza came out. You know, so like
so you know Paulie.
I don't well yeah, I ended up being on the show. Like it's
Yeah.
funny like how it came around full circle. Like you talk about Lebanon with Love, and I don't know how slow you guys want to go through the journey, but I used to watch Rob Shahady and Tahir,
Yeah.
and like I was fans of these guys, and you know, like now we're very good friends. We do shows together, and
That's mad.
you know, so
You're part of the
life's
same team, really.
Life's a funny thing.
Well,
I spin out. Like even when me and you work together at a few gigs and stuff, you know, like, and even with Rob and Tahi, when I make gigs with them as well, I just look, I go, bro, I was sitting in the crowd in 2004 at the Enmore Theatre. At the Enmore Theatre, I think it was.
Yeah.
Watching these guys, like someone like yourself, in character, and now I'm just, bro,
well, look now, man.
now we're like, now we're here.
Anthony's sitting on my couch.
Life's come full. It's crazy
Very
how
nice couch.
Thank you.
it's just crazy how life comes full circle, bro.
You know, Sleek.
You know what? Sleek and I never crossed paths.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know. So he left the show, and I came in as kind of like a guest role in the last season in that first, I guess, era of Fat Pizza.
Yeah.
So season 5,
Yep.
I did some guest roles, and then from there I went on and did some of the other shows with Paulie, like Swift and Shift Couriers, and had more of a main role. But you talk about Lebanon with Love, like. It's funny how life works. So I went and studied theatre as a 20-year-old after trying.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, don't apologise.
So that theatre, you've obviously told your parents.
Yeah.
I want to go to that moment when you told your parents.
You beat me to it, Joey.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm hanging there.
Can you let us know how did that go down? Because
It didn't go down. It went sideways and diagonal.
because you're not building duplexes.
Yeah, that's right.
You're not a heart surgeon.
And both of my brothers are, they come from. They're electricians. They got.
So they've got a trade, yeah.
So that was always the thing. Like I left high school lost.
Yeah.
I was lost, man. Like I didn't. I had no intentions on going to university. I reckon from grade 7th to grade 12, I did my homework under 20 times. I swear.
Wow.
I lived in after-school detention for not doing my homework. And I'm not encouraging kids to do that, but that's just, the way that was my path. And I tried so many things. I went and, like I said, I was delivering pizzas. Whatever it is for a young teenage kid to kind of get some money to hang out with his friends, and I went and did door-to-door sales and whatever I could do.
Trying to keep the parents off the
Work
back.
at Foot Locker, yeah.
So now, Mum,
they're like, they go, you got to do something. I go, all right, I'm gonna go study real estate. I went to TAFE to study at Granville.
I was going to say it was a Granville.
Yeah. let me give some advice to the parents out there. If you want your kid to study something, don't send them to Granville TAFE.
Bro, I went there for one day,
Yeah.
One day just to get a quick diploma. Like, no way, bro.
I think that's the average amount of time people go there. So I did that for 6 months and I left, man. I dropped out.
Oh, my God.
I couldn't do this. So, I dropped out and I told my parents, I'm like, listen, me and a buddy of mine, his name's Wissam Melham, very talented dude. You've probably seen him in some of the shows I've done as well. I said to my parents, listen, I want to go study acting. I found this course. I want to at least audition for it. And my dad's like, all right, if you're gonna go study acting, you got to go find a job. You got to support yourself. You know, you're. I think I was like 20 years old at this stage, or nearly, probably about 20 years old. So I said, all right, no worries. But I went to audition for this college, this acting class in North Sydney. Me and my friend Wissam did, and it was funny. Like, for the audition, they did an interview process, and you had to perform a monologue of your choice. So it's, man, I'm in the hallway waiting to go into the audition, and I know everyone's like doing Shakespeare monologues and, you know, Hamlet. Like, I went in doing the restaurant scene from Scarface. You know that one? You know.
Can you give us a...
You're a bunch of fucking assholes now, okay? But look at my wife, a junkie. Her womb is so polluted, I can't even have a baby with her, man. Like, I went in there doing this.
Oh my God.
And excuse the cursing. I try not to curse, but it's Scarface. I mean, you can't really.
You can't say
The whole thing's a curse. The whole thing's a
Yeah.
curse, bro.
So I went in and you know, it was funny. Like, I got in though. I got in, and my friend Wissam, he did the monologue from Training Day. Denzel Washington, like, you know, I'm doing Pelican Bay on all yous. So we both got in. I don't know if it was because like we were the only two ethnic guys, and they felt like they had to meet a certain criteria. But we got in, and I'll tell you what.
Oh my God.
The course was nothing what I expected. Like, I dropped out after 6 months because I swear I went into a voice class and my teachers were like teachers that had, you know, they had a reputable career in teaching acting. They'd done some really cool stuff. But I remember my voice teacher, he was making us like leap around the room and go, all right. And when you leap, you go, oh, and it's like, it opens your diaphragm. And I'm like, I quit the next day. I'm like, bro, teach me how to be an actor. What are you doing? Now, to his credit, that may have been a good exercise or whatever, but I
Didn't
quit.
work for you.
I quit. I said, you know what, man? I quit. That's it. I'm going to go get a job. I'm going to go do something. I swear to you, no word of a lie. Maybe it's fate. You know, maybe it's God's plan. But that night, my friend Wissam calls me and he's like, I know a guy and he's hit me up and they're doing a show. They're doing a theatre show at Enmore Theatre, and they asked me to come like audition for it or to meet with them tomorrow. And I told them that I do this. I was doing acting with you, and they said, yeah, like bring your friend, you and your friend. So we ended up. I went there the next day. There was a guy called George Nassau. He did shows with us in Lebanon with Love, and we did this show. I was a part of it. I got to co-write it and be in. It's called The Godmother, and we did it one night at Enmore Theatre. And from there, it was kind of like a snowball effect. From there, Rob and Tahir were at that show, and they saw me, and then they said to me, "Oh, we really liked you in that show."
What was your role?
I played a role. It was pretty much the role I did for the first in any kind of TV show or theatre for the first 10 years of my career. It was like a goofy kind of dopey
Majnoon.
guy. Majnoon. I actually played a little Scarface scene in there as well, but no, this is before Majnoon.
Pre
Majnoon.
But same sort of
same character,
same character,
dopey guy. You know what I mean? So actually, it was my manager even till this day, Elia Eliadis. He's the guy that owns or runs the Enmore and the Sydney Comedy Festival and all that. He was producing the show Lebanon with Love, right? So before they even had the idea for Lebanon with Love, he's like, listen, we're going to do this show. This guy, young kid Anthony, I really liked kind of his thing. I went in and had a bit of an audition and with Rob and Tahir, and they said, yeah, all right, we'd love to get you on board for this show Lebanon with Love. And then, yeah, man, I mean, yeah, just one thing led to the next. After I called it quits, you know, I was going to say, that's it. This is not for
So
me.
you were ready
Oh yeah,
to throw the towel in.
yeah.
Was that when you had walked away from the acting
That's right.
degree?
Yeah, I said that's it. I quit, and I probably missed a little story, but I did try stand up comedy a year before I did the acting. It was just an open mic night at the Sydney Comedy Store where you do 5 minutes, and oh man, I invited everybody, bro. I invited my brothers, my friends. This girl that I worked with, Foot Locker as, she, brought all her friends, and I thought I was going to be the next Eddie Murphy.
First gig, yeah? First proper gig. First proper gig, yeah.
Ever. First time. I died in the ass.
Oh.
Like I did maybe 2 minutes and walked off stage. Like I buckled. So I said, forget about stand-up comedy. That's not for me.
Okay, so you stole my thunder.
Sorry, bro.
Because I was going to bring that moment up.
Okay.
I've done my research.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. And you did bomb out.
I bombed out hard.
Yeah.
I don't even know that.
I didn't either, obviously, but I've done research. I've seen it come up. I've seen you mention that in the past. For someone out there, Anthony, and it could be whatever career, whatever industry, people always will see you at your height. They'll see you flourishing in the glitz, the glamour, and they just think that's how it starts. Because no one sees the hard yards, the grinding.
The process.
You know what I mean? No one ever sees the process, right?
No.
And this is what I love about your story. And ending up in Lebanon, which we're going to touch base on, for 7 years for one of the biggest radio stations, and having a great career, and still the career is, going now as we speak. For a young kid out there in whatever they want to do, doesn't have to be acting. But then again, even comedy for a young Lebanese Australian, this is a hard market to crack, Anthony, isn't it?
Big time. I still find it a hard market to crack 20 years in. It's not easy.
It looks like you're right, but it looks like you're going well.
Thank God.
Thank God.
I mean, it's, thank God I'm, it's my living, and I support my family, and I get to do what I love. I really do love it. I really do enjoy it. But it doesn't come with its struggles. It doesn't come with its hurdles. There's always obstacles you got to face. Especially, and listen, I've never been one to say play the racist card, because I'm not raised that way. We're raised to work hard.
Yeah,
and there's always going to be obstacles in your way, no matter who you are. You got to keep pushing forward. But if you ask me, have I had more obstacles than others? Maybe because of my background and because of what I am, and maybe, yeah. But that's okay. That's all right. That makes you the person who you are. It's if you're going to give up because of a one no, you're not going to get very far in life, because life, you're going to hear 1,000 no's before you hear a yes.
And that's the message I want out there.
Yeah.
And I love that, Anthony.
You have to.
You're going to get 1,000 no's before you get your yes. And this is something that's so important for the younger generation to get, because the younger generation are so used to being spoon-fed.
Yeah.
Right? The minute they do find a hurdle, it's like they throw their toys out of their crib, and they chuck a tantrum, and they're waiting for someone to come and save them.
Yeah, for sure.
But the reality is, no one's coming to save you.
No one.
You got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
With that mentality, I seen something online once. Me and you speak about this a lot, Joey.
Yeah.
Like, I seen a photo of a guy digging a tunnel. He's digging away. He's gotten this far in the tunnel, but he wants to quit because he can't find the treasure at the end of the other side. But in the photo, it shows you there's a thin wall, and he's picking at the wall.
He's nearly there.
And the treasure's there. All he had to do was go that extra mile and reap the rewards. And I think it's pretty relevant to what we're saying now.
Absolutely.
I'm 20 years into my career. What you just said to me, it still resonates with my day to day. You know what I mean? We're still trying to achieve new goals. We're trying to achieve new heights. We're trying to do new things and create new projects and whatever that may be. There's always going to be things that are in our way. But if you truly love something, and if you truly feel like you've got a gift, and that gift may be, building houses. That gift may be, building furniture, whatever it is, making clothing. You got to pursue it, and because you're going to be miserable if you don't.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's not to say be stupid and be negligent and just,
Yeah, of course.
you know, like I said, man, I was doing 3 jobs while doing stand-up comedy for the first 10 years. Like, you have to be a little bit smart about it as well. You know, you got to be realistic. It's not, life is not a movie. You have to be a little bit grounded like that.
And I'd like to, sorry, Joey,
You're right.
I'll take it with you and your career. Failure was just never an option.
It wasn't, man. It wasn't.
Apart from that time when you tripped out when you went to do the degree and you thought, that's not failure. That's this you saying.
Man, I was a
it.
kid, you know, like 20 years old. You got all the options in the world in front of you. You can restart your life a million times. But I was very dedicated. And like I said, man, I got 30 and under for my high school result. Like,
UAI?
like not even, they didn't even give me a score. They just said 30 and under.
It was that low.
As if to say, listen, like that. Listen, bro, you don't want to know. Just move on with your life. Like,
You don't want to know.
you know, so university was not an option. Yeah, maybe I could have gone and done a trade. But man, I went and did some labouring, and that I knew that wasn't for me. The building game, and my brothers were in it, and I went and helped them sometime. It wasn't for me. I truly, I loved what I did, and I said, you know, I'll do what I have to in order to get there.
So after you bombed out, do you remember the next time you were on stage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you talk about that? What you went through?
Stand up?
Stand up.
What year was this too?
Yeah.
What year was?
So I had done Lebanon with Love. We were like in the middle of tour because we toured that show for like maybe a year and a half, and we played to, you know, maybe 20,000 people over that time.
It was massive, man. I still got the DVD.
Yeah, it was. It was a great experience, and for a young kid to, and all the shows we were doing, the theaters were like, you know, 1,200 people, 1,500 people. And for a young kid to be performing in front of those kind of crowds, it was
massive.
a dream come true. I remember waiting backstage and. You know, we'd play this song before the show would start, and oh man, I used to get goosebumps, man.
I know which one.
It was amazing, you know.
Do you remember it? Sorry, I need to know.
Oh yeah, you don't.
It was a Lebanese song. Oh man,
A bit of Fairuz. Was it Fairuz in the background?
Yeah, no, there was
like
this one song we played. Maybe, oh man.
And the slideshow came up?
Or something. I don't know. There was a song, and it started with like, "Ana min Lebanon." Like it was this really powerful song, and the crowd would lose. And when the crowd would lose it, like it was all dark. This is before the curtains would open, and man, it was just
adrenaline.
Oh, bro,
good energy.
Well, the energy you felt it off the crowd, and you got to remember, this is so fresh and so new for me.
Never performed in front of people, this many people.
No, it was amazing, man. It was such a blessing. And so Tahi was the director from Lebanon with Love, and he was a very renowned stand-up comedian. And I used to go and another side note. So when I started from Lebanon with Love, I was still working side gigs. I got a job as an usher at the Enmore Theatre. So, you know, showing people to their seats, cleaning up the trash and all that. So I was lucky enough just to watch shows and concerts every night, and I'd watch so much stand-up comedy and, Tahi, I'd watch his shows as well. And I said to Tahi one day, I'm like, man, you know, I tried stand-up, a year or so ago and a couple of years ago. I'm failed miserably, but I've got about like 5 minutes of jokes, 6 minutes of jokes. I'd love for you to just have a look over them and tell me what you think, you know? And he literally said to me, I've got a gig on in 2 weeks. I think it was at like Carlingford Bowls or something.
Yeah.
He's like, just open up for me. And I'm like, man, I haven't done stand-up since that way. He's like, listen, it's 5 minutes. It's all right. I'll go over your material with you. I'll give you any pointers or whatever. He goes, you'll be fine. So 2 weeks went by, I got up, I did 5 minutes at Carlingford Bowls, and it went good. Now did it? It wasn't in my mind. It was amazing, but if I was to look back at it, maybe it went all right. But
well, compared to the first one,
it was amazing compared to the first one. But for me, that was enough to get the taste of what that stand-up comedy
Yeah.
was, and that was enough for me to say, all right, no, this is, I want to give this a crack.
And
Yeah.
you mentioned you were, that's amazing. But just something that stuck with me, what you mentioned earlier. You used to work, so you're telling me you performed on the stage for From Lebanon with Love, then you're telling me the following week you were working there as an usher,
Yeah.
and then like, or were you working as an usher before you performed?
No, I was working as an usher after I did my first show there. So I did that first show, The Godmother, and then I started working as an usher, and I was doing From Lebanon with Love, and I was still doing ushering. Like, I mean, some people may have not done that because they think, oh no, I've performed on this stage, I'm not gonna. But no,
That's what I was gonna get to.
That's actually massive, right?
Bro, it's massive, and a lot of people won't even do that. A lot of actors and comedians won't do that. The 1 minute they're on the stage, next minute, not that it's frowned upon or anything, not that it's like it's bad, but a lot of people, it's a hit to their ego, and
That's something you don't have.
that's
Anthony.
something you don't have.
I can
Yeah,
say-
Man,
Safely
no,
say.
we all got it, bro. We all got it. I mean, thank you very much. But we've all got an element of ego, and you know, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's the thing that brings the best people down, and
Definitely hold you back.
yeah,
Bro,
definitely.
But for you to do that, I know what you're saying, and you're being humble now, Anthony. And we all got an ego. We all snap it sometimes.
Yeah,
We've got
totally.
a temper. I get that. But for you, don't downplay what you've done, right? You've
Thank you,
just
bro.
said you've played in front of 1,500 people at once.
Yeah,
Then the following week you're in the same venue
cleaning up the trash.
cleaning up trash.
yeah.
That's humble to me.
100%.
That's
bro.
humble to everyone that would hear this.
That's real life.
Mate,
You know?
and that's I think that's part of the foundation that's got you to where you are today. Absolutely has to have played a part.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and I got to give props to my manager, Eliadis. This guy, I mean, you know, this guy. Not many people probably know his name because he's very low key, and but you know, this guy's created an empire. He started the Sydney Comedy Festival. He made Enmore Theatre what it is today. He owns the Sydney Comedy Store, the Metro Theatre, the Factory Theatre. Like,
Wow.
he created this all from. His father ran the Enmore Theatre. That was a part theatre, part live perform, and he created this. And this now he's got, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people that work under him.
Wow.
That's immortality for comedy, bro. It's
Yeah,
mad.
but you know, this guy, even still till this day, like when he's at his venue and he sees something, he'll grab a broom and start sweeping up.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
What national is he?
he's Greek.
Greek. Wow.
Yeah. He's, and that for me was a big thing, man. This guy was, you know, this guy's the boss of everybody, and he's there
Picking up a broom.
picking up a broom and sweeping
Wow.
up. He's there. He'll pick up some trash if he sees it, and you
Do
know.
you see a developer on site picking up a broom?
No, absolutely. You know, no. To be fair, I have seen a few.
Yeah.
Like I've seen a 75-year-old old man. Yeah. And he built the empire and then gave it to his two boys. But till today, he's still on site. And I was doing something at this job site, and I said to the builder, I go, bro, why are you doing this old man? Like, you got him slave laboring. Like, go get a 20-year-old laborer. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Being a smart. He goes, bro, that's my dad.
Yeah.
I go, come on, bro, send him on a holiday. He goes, Joey, we cannot get him off this job. He comes on his own,
Yeah.
and he'll clean and he's basically sweeping, cleaning up the job site. And I went up to him. I go, like, kick back a bit, yeah. Look what you've built. Enjoy what you've done. He goes, I'm more. If I stop working, I die.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
the
like,
mentality,
I
bro.
go, you know what? Fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't want you to die.
And I've got a question for you, bro. Now, from a DJ perspective, when I'm about to play a big gig, when I'm about to like play, I know it's a packed crowd, it's heaving. I'm about to jump on. I still get the adrenaline and G'd up feeling, and also get that nervous feeling as well. Is it? Do you get the same thing when you know you've sold out a show and you've sold out a massive theater, and you're about to jump on? You're the main guy. You're the headlining act. Do you still get? Do you get G'd up, or is it just like another day in the office?
You know, if I'm gonna be totally honest, man, I don't really get those nerves anymore. I still I get excited to do it, but I don't get the nerves. I wish I did get them sometimes, because it's a magical feeling. And I don't know what it is, but I still love it. I have my process that I go through before I go on stage, and that kind of just, gets me in the right headspace. But I don't get those nerves anymore, man.
Bro,
That's crazy.
It's hard, bro. I'm not a comedian, or try to be, but I'm not. It's all about the delivery, like, and the execution of a joke, bro. It's a lot of pressure. It's not as easy as fucking. It's all about the delivery, bro.
Yeah, totally.
And you gotta perfect that. True. I'm not a comedian, bro, but I'm assuming.
And it 100% it's about the delivery, but man, I've evolved as a comedian. I mean, it's been a journey. Like I've had 4 different voices.
What's wrong with you, John?
Sorry, man. I'm just because you're talking. So I'm thinking of your career, like to make me laugh, and you're talking about your delivery.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, go on. I don't want to cut you off.
No, it's true, the delivery. But like for now, I'm a more kind of chilled, relaxed comedian. Where 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I was a little bit more energetic on stage, and the content I would speak about was maybe definitely not the content I'd speak about now. But I guess that's as a comedian, I feel your job is to kind of talk about your life, what
Your
you're
journey.
going through, your experiences.
Absolutely.
As a kid, what are you talking about, man? You're talking about trying to get girls, and that's what as a young 20-year-old.
Who's got the best rims on their car?
Yeah, well, that was one of my first jokes. I was like, I can't afford a car, so I lowered my bed, put chrome legs on it, fluffy dice on the bed head.
Bro.
That was one of my first
I
jokes,
remember that.
man.
I said that on Bebo. It was a video on Bebo. When you remember Bebo?
I don't even know what Bebo is.
Bebo used to be like the old Facebook and stuff back in the day, and
really?
they used to put YouTube links on it. And bro, that's where I seen that. And Sylvester Stallone.
So this is what I want to get to now, right? And we're talking about delivery. Your delivery is fucking phenomenal, Anthony, right?
Thank you,
And
bro.
I love how it is relaxed, right? And then before the punchline comes, he just stops, right?
Yeah.
And it's dead quiet, right? And he's one of his jokes is I've faced racial abuse before. Like I've been bashed for being Lebanese by my dad.
Yeah,
Bro.
You gotta embrace that silence. A lot of comedians are afraid of that silence because
This makes you Anthony.
yeah. Well, this is what I love, man. I
your
love
point of
that.
difference, bro.
Like now, I like to sit down when I'm on stage a lot. I like to kind of slow the pace down and I think that came with doing radio. I just became more of a storyteller.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love to embrace that silence. Like I said, a lot of comedians, they shy away from it. They don't want to hear that because they feel like, oh, I'm losing the audience. But no, like it's you control it. You're setting the tone. You're setting the pace. So
Something I love that you've started doing, I don't know how long you've been doing it for. Enlighten us. Your crowd work.
oh yeah.
Has that always been a part of your style?
No, never. It's only like in the last few years. I used to hate crowd work,
Yeah.
man. That's funny you say that. I used to avoid it at all costs.
Wow.
If someone would say something, I would ignore it and just keep going
But
with my
for
jokes.
why?
Just because I was afraid.
Did you not think you were witty enough?
Yeah, that's
quick
right.
enough?
That's right. I was afraid of like, what if I lose control of this situation? What if I forget my jokes?
Wow.
But like now, for example, last night I was at MC. When I MC, I don't even do material. I just talk to the audience.
Oh wow.
Like
Yeah.
And I love it. I actually love it now. I used to hate it, but I embrace it now because it brings a whole new level to.
Well, let
to
me
the
tell
set.
you, you're fucking awesome at it.
Thank you, bro.
Right. Sorry, I gotta tell Bill. I don't know how much he's seen or known, but there was one. He picked a mum and dad, and he mentioned the kids, and the wife like quickly jumped up. He's like, something about what stresses do your kids give you, and she's like, oh yeah. And he's like, how old are they? She's like 18. He goes, what's the stress at that age? And she's like, boyfriends. Then he looks at the husband. He goes, "Do you own a gun?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "What national are you?" He goes, "Portuguese." He goes, "Oh yeah, you make them chicken." Then he looks at the wife. He goes, "Are you Portuguese too?" She goes, "No, I'm Lebanese." He goes, "You've got the gun."
Cause how do you think of that, Amp? How do you think of it, bro?
Amp, that's quick.
Yeah,
that's witty, bro.
That's how we grew up, bro. Like we grew up with friends that were just always taking the piss out of each other, and like you guys have got it too. But maybe in front of a crowd, you might be a little bit more reserved because you're not used to that environment.
Yeah.
But once that isn't an issue anymore, it just becomes I'm in my element. You know what I mean? Because the crowd is no longer an issue for me.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm not afraid of. That maybe they won't laugh or whatever. And I'm not trying to big up myself saying they're always going to laugh. I got to a point where it's not that I don't care, but maybe I've got enough tricks in the back of my pocket where I can kind of maybe bring it back. And even if I don't, well, that's all right, man. It's not the end of the world, Not every gig is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But when you bring that confidence to the stage, the audience goes along with you, man. Like it's the audience aren't dumb. They can sense the energy. They can sense the vibe, and yeah, I just try and be natural. I try and be myself, and I take that upbringing of Western Sydney, of my childhood of just friends just going at each other, man. Like people say to me, like I'm 41 years old, like. I'm at the cutoff limit. There's no more new friends. Like, that's it. Like, I've capped out on friends.
Yeah.
And I say to people, you don't want to be my friend. Because if you heard how me and my friends talk to each other, people go to therapy for that.
Oh, but I'd love to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's, but that's how we grew. That's how we showed our love, and that's kind of what I just bring to the stage. Whatever the situation is. And I've got to say, growing up around a lot of different people, as you guys did, we're well cultured. We know about different cultures. We know about different things. We've seen people that maybe have become multimillionaires. We've seen people that have gone to jail. I think it's a blessing growing up in the places that we grew up and around the people we grew up, because it makes us real and it makes us relatable to everybody.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I just try and bring that to the stage.
Nah, it's awesome. Amp, I want to set the scene here. I'll set the scene.
Set it, bro.
How we going for time, Joe? We good?
No, we're good. We're good. Yeah.
I'm pre-COVID. I was in Lebanon every single year, all the time, bro. I'd play there. I'd fly over there. I'd DJ there in Batron and a couple other venues and stuff.
Oh, you're giving me flashbacks,
Yeah,
man.
bro, the best day. 11 Bay, man. Tiger Sky. The glory days of those. Anyway,
Man, far out.
bro, I'll be driving on the autostrade, passing Casino du Liban in Jouni, and I'll put your radio station on, Virgin Radio.
Mm.
I'd listen to you and your I think it was Sally and Frankie at the time.
Yeah.
Your co-host on Virgin Radio in Lebanon, and I'll just think we weren't that close to back then. We probably worked each other once or twice, probably. Anyway, I'll tell you, I'll be driving and thinking, bro, this is a boy from the area. I'm driving this car on this freeway, and this guy's got his own radio show on the other side of the world, and not just any radio show, bro. You were doing big numbers there.
Yeah, thank God. It was very successful.
Thank God. How does, for all our viewers and our listeners, how does a boy from Western Sydney, Adelaide or Western Sydney, end up in Lebanon working for one of the biggest, probably the biggest radio brand in the Middle East, and hosting such a successful show?
Well, I got to give props to a guy who pretty much what you just described, who is doing that and on another hemisphere, Chris Fade.
The man.
So my brother, one of my brothers for 25 years, we grew up together here in Sydney, and he's in Dubai now, and he hosts. He's a brand himself, right?
He's a good man, Chris Fade.
He's a great man. So
you grew up with him, Anthony?
We kind of grew up later in life, like in our 20s together, and then before he moved to Dubai. So he moved to Dubai. Same kind. He had nothing, man. They wouldn't give him the breakfast show on the Edge.
On the Edge, 96.1.
He was like the street kid Habib. That's what they called him.
He used to drive the van to the venue.
He used to be the promo
guy. Yeah, I remember.
But
I've seen him as well. I used to see him like at gigs when I first started. He was still here, like 07, 08.
Yeah,
He was just like not loitering around, but just like trying to crack the scene.
That's
still
right.
trying to crack the scene.
He was trying to crack the scene. So he went to Dubai for zero money or whatever. But then he kind of built a profile. Now he is, what he is. But after a few years of him being there, the Virgin Radio were going to launch in Lebanon. And the CEO of Virgin Radio International is a guy named Ian Grace. Very good man. He kind of started Triple M here in Australia. He's an Aussie guy.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He's like royalty in the world radio scene. So I got a call from Chris saying, "Listen, this guy Ian Grace, they called him Gracie. He called me up saying we're launching in Lebanon. Do you know somebody that has a Lebanese background, not from Lebanon, that's worked on radio?" And he said to Gracie, he's like, "No, I don't know anyone that's worked on radio, but my friend's a stand-up comedian. It might work. Maybe it's worth giving him a call, So he's like, expect a call from this guy. And I expected nothing from this. I'm like, yeah, all right, cool, man, whatever. Like everyone says this guy might give you a call.
All hacky, eh? It's all hacky.
I swear to you, I got a phone call the same day. This is exactly how the phone call went. I remember word for word. I go, hello. He's like, Anthony, Ian Grace here. 2 questions for you. Question number 1, how do you feel about working on radio? Question number 2, how do you feel about moving to Lebanon? That's his hello.
Wow.
And I was like,
what the?
Yeah. This was in 2012. And
Wow.
And you know what? I had just been like nominated for an ARIA award for my comedy release, and I thought, my career is about to hit new heights. I just went to the Montreal Comedy Festival. I'm like, stand-up is really starting to take off for me.
There are a couple of big brands that you just named, bro.
Yeah, they are. So I thought, and then I spoke to my management, and he's like, my manager Elliot, he's like, breakfast radio is a very tough gig to get, let alone it's a national show, so it's not just like in Sydney or in Melbourne, like in Lebanon, it's across the whole country, and it's for a company like Virgin. So it's like, you might as well try it for a year. But it came with its hurdles because ISIS were just like going crazy in Syria at that time, trying to infiltrate the Lebanese border. God. Man, I could go on so many tangents.
Fuck.
But I said I'll give it a crack, and I'd never done radio before, and it was amazing, man. After 7 months, like our show, it was like the number 1 show in the country, and it just kept growing and growing.
So what was your approach, Anthony? Did you have to shift from your stand-up comedy mindset? How did you attack radio?
It was actually, I think the stand-up comedy helped me so much because radio in Lebanon, as they knew it, was either American or UK disc jockeys that were like, and coming up next, it's this and that, what I mean? They didn't have a guy that was cracking jokes in every break and, making fun of this. And they never had someone on air with an international voice talking about, my mum's cabine year and, growing up like this. Like, to be honest, for the first month or so, I was actually getting a little bit of negativity from people listening in because they thought I was an Australian guy making fun of the culture. They didn't realise, because it was just the morning show with Anthony and Frankie. They didn't
know you were
Lebanese.
Don't know.
They didn't know my face. You got to remember, 2013, social media wasn't what it is now.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Radio shows weren't filming inside the studio, and so
Instagram would have just come out a couple of years.
Instagram was brand new.
Yeah,
I remember I just signed up before I moved there. It was not even a year old, so not even everyone was on it.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, like, people thought, oh man, this guy's a Lebanese Australian guy. I used to talk about my culture so much, I'd slip in Arabic words, and
and they would laugh at your Arabic, yeah?
Yeah, they would. They would
find it funny.
100%. And my Arabic was a lot worse when I moved there than what it was when I left. But
you're solid now.
Yeah. After
7 years.
After that long in Lebanon, you got no choice. But But yeah, man, it was a phenomenal thing. Like it just was a rapid growth, and every year I just said, "Oh, I'll give it another year. I'll give it another year." And Virgin and the team over there, and my general manager, they were just wanted to keep having me on, and it was the best time of my life.
You got out of there at the best time. You know why?
Yeah.
Because that's when they done they went against the government because of WhatsApp and the Wi-Fi. I think that's what happened just before COVID. The revelation, whatever it's called, I don't know what it's called. They called it something.
Oh, the solder.
They turned on the
solder,
government because
yeah,
they
yeah.
cut rid of the Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember? I think that was
And
just
they tried to charge for WhatsApp.
they charged for what? Charge for
Yeah,
WhatsApp
yeah.
and all that.
But so Anthony's life changes when he goes to Lebanon.
100%.
Not just his career,
Yeah, the stand-up took a back seat.
right? Back seat,
Mm.
you're on the radio,
Yeah.
you meet your wife.
I met my wife just before I left Lebanon.
Okay, so was she a local or she lived
No,
abroad?
she lived abroad. She was Lebanese, but living in Canada.
Okay.
Oh wow!
So, yeah. So, you want to hear the story?
Yeah,
how
of
it
I'd love
course,
to hear the
of
story.
course.
We'd love
All
to hear
right.
it.
So my wife and I met probably like a year before I left, but she was there on holiday. She was she was born in Lebanon, but then they migrated to Canada when she was like a teenager. So we met
At Oris.
at Dunkin' Donuts.
No way, Batron.
Yeah, that's bad. So, and it was just like in passing, and it was just two people that kind of like what didn't go past that first interaction. But you know, we exchanged numbers. Just we kind of enjoyed each other's company, and we just from time to time we would message. She was living in Canada, I was living in Lebanon, and then about a year later, she says to me, "I'm coming back to Lebanon for a holiday," you know, and I'm like, "Let's get some dinner. Let's like catch up." And I think I'd just given my resignation in my 6 month notice.
Yeah, well.
So this
At
is
Virgin.
at Virgin.
Okay.
So I had, and we can get into that later if I don't know if we got time, so I had committed. Well, I'd spoken to someone here in Sydney about doing radio here in Sydney on one of the major networks. So I said, you know what, like this is where my mind was at back then. I was like, I want to elevate my career. I've kind of reached the peak of what I could reach in Lebanon. I've kind of done everything I could do. So, you know, it's time to move on. So I gave my resignation. Then my now wife, she says, I'm coming. I said, let's go for dinner. So we catch up and we go have hot dogs at a famous hot dog stand in Jebel called Frank's Hot Dogs. I don't know if you're aware of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Terrible hot dogs.
Yeah.
Why is it famous?
It's just
That's all they know.
after everyone drinks, they go there and have hot dogs.
He's the only
you know?
bloke open.
Yeah,
Literally,
yeah.
bro. Real hard.
So we're there, we're having hot dogs, and you know when you meet someone, you're married. Are you married?
Married, yes.
Yeah.
So like, you know, when you meet your wife for the first time, you knew there was something
Absolutely.
right?
100%.
different from any other girl you
Yeah.
met.
Absolutely.
And I knew that. Like when that first date, I knew there was something special about this girl. And we're eating hot dogs. Like I said, terrible hot dogs. Stray cats all hanging around.
But that's what makes it.
Yeah. I started feeding my hot dog to the cats. Now, little did I know, my wife loves cats. So
Oh
she's
my
looking
God.
at me saying, this guy's such
And
a
the
sweetheart.
champagnes.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
look, how
So
sweet
matam.
how sweet is this guy feeding this guy cats? Like, little did the cats know they were about to have the worst diarrhea of their life in half an hour.
Oh my God.
So she said something to me.
Oh, bro.
So we're having our hot dogs, and then she said something to me. She goes, "Can we go for a drive to Saint Charbel's monastery?" And no woman has ever
Wow.
said to me, like,
Wow.
"Let's
mad.
go to a church." Like, I get goosebumps even just
Wow.
talking about this.
In Anaya?
In Anaya.
Yeah.
So we went up for a drive, and you know, she went in the church, I went in the church. We kind of sat separately, and we were both praying, and like that was just special, you know.
Doesn't
It was-
happen. That doesn't happen on a date usually, bro.
No.
on a first date as
On
well.
a first
no.
date, especially. That's yeah.
Well, let's go back to the hot dogs.
Mm.
Because, sorry, let's call a spade, yeah? There's a generation out there that it's about the fine dining. You know, it's about the labels. This is what young men and young women are facing
Yeah.
in regards to meeting now. I'm so glad I'm married now, Anthony.
Mm.
And I always say it to my wife because I've got younger brother-in-laws. Even my wife's cousin, the cameraman behind us,
Phil.
Phil. No, he won his stripes
Oh, well,
back.
Bill's
It's
back.
Bill.
Bill.
It's Bill.
Bill, yeah, okay, well, Bill's back.
I would hate to be 22, 23 in the dating game now.
It's tough, man.
Mate, it is
bro.
absolutely tough.
Yeah.
But for your missus to sit there, have stray cats running around,
Yeah.
eating a shit hot dog from Frankie's,
Yeah.
topping it off with, let's go to Mosharbil. Mate, you'll be a fool if you don't see that that's the one.
100%, bro.
Yeah. I knew something, man. It was just
Yeah,
that was I just knew it.
that's beautiful.
And so like we did like the long distance thing.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, 'cause she was in Canada.
Canada, bro.
Okay, so
And
for
I
how
was-
long?
So I moved back to Australia in May 2019. She was a flight attendant on for Air Canada, which was kind of cool because like we got those flight discounts. So like we would literally see each other every month or every second month.
Wow.
So I'd travel to Canada for like $200.
I remember, bro. I'd
Wow.
see your stories. You were always traveling.
Yeah,
I remember. Yeah.
So
That's cheap, bro.
$200
it's
bucks.
ridiculous.
She still
man.
get those rates?
No, she doesn't work for Air
Oh,
Canada
fuck,
anymore,
yeah,
man.
man.
I'm spewing.
All right.
The pilot would be asking his mates for petrol money.
I love it's the first podcast I've been on where the host do callbacks to my jokes. Man. Love it, man. It's brilliant.
I told you we're special, bro.
Yeah, you guys are, man.
Oh,
So we were doing the long distance thing. She was here 2020 for a wedding in March. COVID hit. She flew back on like the last flight to Canada. We don't see each other for 2 years.
Oh,
2 years, don't see each other.
Fuck.
bro.
2 years of,
How's the heart?
do you want to watch this movie? Let's press play at the same time. You want to cook
Oh,
this
no
deal?
way.
Let's cook this same meal tonight. And that's what it was
Wow.
for 2 years. Tried, I think, exemptions probably close to 20 times, knocked back every time. No.
Wow.
Bro, that would have been tough, Inf.
It was tough, man. It
Did
was
it test
tough.
the relationship?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely. And you know what? Listen, whether that happened or not, of course, she's my wife. I was going to marry her no matter what. But back then, like, I was always a guy that was afraid of commitment. I think,
Yeah.
I don't know if it took something like that, but that was definitely a sign from God to say, the next time you see this woman, you're proposing to her.
You got to
Oh,
jump
sure,
onto it. Yeah.
bro.
So that kind of got rid of that fear. It was tough. Never ever did I ever think this relationship's going to end. Like it was always, and we'd only been dating for, a year or so.
Before COVID hit.
Before COVID hit, So, and she'd, come over, she'd met the family. I'd met her family and then 2 years, and then as soon as the borders kind of opened up, I flew over and proposed to her, and then the rest is history, man.
Yeah.
So
That's beautiful, bro.
yeah.
So,
It's crazy.
which leads me to present Anthony Salame now. Now, I might be wrong. Safe to say, look, behind every strong man is a stronger woman.
Amen.
And I believe your wife has played a big part in your spiritual path now.
Yeah. big
Is that
time.
safe to say?
100%?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and I love this. I love when I watched the podcast that you were on and seeing your knowledge and how close you were to your faith. You could see the Holy Spirit is inside you, which was phenomenal to see, Anthony. Why I say this, because at the beginning of the podcast, you mentioned Adelaide and St. Maroons and the tight community that it was and playing basketball, you know, at the end of church. And the Maronite community, even the Orthodox, right, the Lebanese, you know, Christian community, we lost it for a certain period. I'm so proud of the youth today because the youth are bringing that back.
Yeah, big time.
Right? There's a lot of the young youth that are involved with the church in the monastery. They're doing amazing things. And I feel it coming back, right? You're there now and you have a son. Did your son play a part in you now, Anthony Salame, becoming an author?
Well, I released my first book before I had a kid.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So I always I had that in mind to maybe release a book one day, a children's book, and the journey of it becoming a book, a faith-based book, was not the intentions weren't always there for it to be based around the faith, but something you talk about the foundations. I think that's why I do these books, right? It's my son now. Having my son definitely is a driving force for me to create more and keep doing this. But you know, I go to a lot of schools. I mean, just yesterday I was at a school reading one of my books, and you know, you see the interaction with the kids and the innocence of the kids, and I think we underestimate how connected to God kids are.
Oh.
You know, the way Jesus talks about children, you know, he tells us we got to be like children to enter the kingdom of heaven. That innocence,
The purity.
that purity, 100%. Like I was last year, I was reading my book, The Messiah's Donkey, at which is an Easter story at St. Charbel's primary school. And I do this like Q&A with the kids. And one kid puts his hand up and says, I don't have a question. I just wish I could take all of Jesus's pain away. Kid in year 1.
Wow.
Year 1. And that's a testament to what the parents are doing at home and what the religious coordinator, God bless her, she's awesome, at St. Charbel's, and the teachers are doing at those schools. So that encourages me to do more because yeah, I've come back to the faith a lot more. I'm a lot stronger in my faith. Thank the Lord.
Thank you.
Amen.
But I think we're all called in life, no matter what we do, we can all bring people closer to God. Even if we're a builder, even if we're a chef, maybe it's a little conversation you're having with someone, and it's not about trying to sell religion or no. It's like Mother Teresa said a beautiful thing. She's like, our role as Christians is to spread the gospel every single day and only use words if necessary. Something like that.
Through your actions.
Yeah. So like, you know, we all got to do our part in bringing people closer to God because, you know, that's the only way. Forget about everything else. You said my wife played a role in my 100%. If your partner doesn't love God more than they love you, you're not with the right person.
That's spot on.
You're talking, and there's so many emotions going on at the moment. So we had a very, very emotional episode on Monday that we recorded with a mother that lost her 18-year-old son.
Oh, goodness.
And that conversation affected the whole room. It was very deep. And Bill touched on some points about the phone. You know, when our kids want our attention and we're like, not now, and just the chokehold that technology has on us.
Yeah.
I actually went home. So what I started it's been about 6 months now where we read the Bible every night
God bless
with my 2 daughters. So I've got a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. We sit down, we'll say the Our Father, then we'll read a passage out of the New Testament, then we do a bit of a Bible studies, right? So what did you get out of it? And I teach my daughters about what did that passage mean. After that episode, I went home. I'd done a lot of soul searching. I said, you know what? I've got to be better at home. So as you've seen, Anthony, my showroom, we're builders here. So as you can imagine, the builder on the phone, there's constant raising of the voice, whether it's with your trades, your client, just trying to get shit done, right? Not knowing that I'm damaging my kids while I'm at that. So just today, before I got here, I had both my girls. And I said, listen, girls, things are going to change around here. Dad's not screaming anymore. Dad's not on the phone, right? Mum loves you. Dad loves you. We're going to change shit up in here. Because my 7-year-old, she's a bit of a gangster. So you got to, you know, she loves it. You got to really put that twist in there.
She's got that punch bowl DNA.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Exhibit A.
She's a typical maroon, let me tell you. I go, we're going to change shit up in here. She goes, yeah, Dad. She goes,
I love that.
She goes, the evil doesn't want us to be happy. We've got to keep evil outside of this house.
Yeah.
That's
And
powerful,
I
bro.
looked at her and I just that moment, that year one kid, just that wants to take Jesus' pain away. We can learn so much from our children if we just stop. Just stop and listen.
100%. Like just tonight, I swear to you, tonight, my son, he's 20 months.
God bless.
Thank you, brother. He's a little wog, man. He just speaks Arabic, mainly. You know?
Hectic. I love that.
We teach
I love
him
that.
Arabic,
That's the
but
best.
It's funny though, like, you know, like it's a weird thing. Like, cause my wife and I, we speak English to each other a lot. Like when we'd be out at a restaurant, I'd be like, oh babe, you got to try the chicken, you know, so it's beautiful. The potatoes are great. Then I'll turn to my son like, look, baby, people are looking at me like, who's this Bin Laden shit these guys are raising? Oh my God. So we're about to sit down and eat dinner, and like I was running late today, so I just
so
I was in a rush and I got into dinner. My son, I swear to you, God bless him. He's looking at us and he's like, Saleh, like pray.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So because we always like we say a prayer before we start eating, and I'm like, my wife started crying. She's like, how?
Wow.
Yeah, man. Like kids, we underestimate how connected they are.
100%.
You know, and we have to do that. I love that you did that with your daughter.
They're the real version of the world, bro.
We have to do that, man. We're so consumed with all this garbage around us, man.
Too much.
The things that we think are important, you know. And that's not to say things aren't important. Yes, we have to pay the bills and we have to provide for our family. But, man, we cannot lose track of what is real, and what is real is our family, and what is real, there's nothing realer than God, there's nothing realer than Jesus Christ, and we need to it's our obligation to help our kids, to help that foundation. And I swear to you, that's, you know, I can go on stage and perform in front of 1,000 people. I go to a school and read to kids. I honestly feel a lot better after reading to the kids, because, you know, I'm talking about, you know, I'm giving glory to God. And I try to do that on stage. I don't curse on stage anymore. I don't do any filthy material anymore. I work clean.
Oh, you feel like that's actually impacted your performances now?
100%, man.
Same as me.
Because that's me as a person. Like I try not to curse. You know, there's a slip out from time. Yeah, but every day I'm trying to be a better person.
You're working.
And I don't want, if I've got a microphone in my hand, I've got an obligation. I'm out there talking to people like, you know, now I've got kids coming up to me saying, I love your stand-up. I never had that growing up. I never had young kids saying, I love your stand-up, because it was a little bit filthy.
It was kept away from them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, like I was at Our Lady of Lebanon a couple of months ago for there was a speaker there, and there was a young girl. She's like 13 years old. She goes, I love your stand-up comedy. I love watching you. And that, you know, people come up to me and say, we love you because you're just observational and you don't have to get dirty and you're not filthy. And that means more to me than saying, oh, I love this joke that you, because it just shows that I'm getting better as a person.
Can I tell you, and again, I'm going to take you back to the beginning of the pod. So at the start, you said your jokes, your material was what you were living in that moment. So as a 20-year-old, you're talking about your lowered bed.
Yeah, man.
You're doing Scarface and chicks and whatnot and dating.
Yeah.
But now, obviously, because your life has evolved, like done this complete 360. Now you're married. You're a loving husband. You're closer to your Lord. You have a son. That will impact your material.
100%, man.
And that's the beauty of it. And what I love about that is you've broken away from the stigma, because stand-up comedians, married, kids, they don't care what they are. They think, oh, this is my job.
Yeah.
I have to do this.
Sex, drugs, and
I
rock and
have
roll,
to be
bro.
this way.
Yeah.
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 And you look at him, you actually look at him and think, dude, you're 50. You're old. You're married. You have a 16-year-old daughter. You're sitting there talking about drugs and sex and gangbangs, and how is that fitting?
I sort of get the same feeling, bro, when I'm out there working, playing and stuff, like especially in the nightclubs and all that, bro. Like, 'cause I've been on a self-development journey the last 6 months or so, and I just sometimes think like I try to steer away from the vulgar tunes. Like, I don't want to try and promote like the swear words and all that. Even me when I'm emceeing on the mic, I used to say, put your
mother effing.
Yeah, I steer away from that now, bro. I'm the same thing, bro. I just feel like it's a real powerful thing, bro. And and our job as men and as fathers, especially, bro. Like, it's our job's to lead our family and our kids to heaven.
Absolutely.
That's we have no other job.
No, but that is our job. Exactly right. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean. And by us obviously contradicting and doing the opposite, like, bro, what are we doing? We're hypocrites.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I actually brought my books for you guys, for your kids. So
you're a legend.
You didn't.
Yeah. So
bro, you're an absolute legend.
I hope they love them, man.
Bro, should be giving you something, bro. You're giving us something.
No,
I love you, Anth.
Absolutely.
Well, something I will promise you. So I'm an author myself. I've written a self-help book for teenagers.
I love that.
Reprogramming their mindset, making better decisions, choosing their friends more wisely. Talk about social media. Talk about bullying. There's a range of other things. The first half of the book is a story about my journey, my struggles. So I'll promise you, my book will get my publisher's actually in Adelaide.
Okay.
It's your cousin.
We went last year. I don't recommend anyone going to Port Adelaide. It's pretty rough out there.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, it's not bad, but they say Port Adelaide, you wouldn't go there for a holiday. But Port Adelaide is more like a botany or Mount Druitt type.
I've played in Adelaide a couple of times. Hindley Street, I think is the main street.
Yeah, that's kind of like the King's Cross of...
yeah, it's the King's Cross of the... Bro, I've had some, that's another story.
That's another episode, Bill. But, so yeah, I've got to go there, finish off. The editing's nearly done. So I'm
awesome,
about
man.
a month away from release, and I'll definitely throw a copy out your way, Anthony. We really appreciate that. The name of your books, your 3 books.
Yeah, so I've got J is for Jesus, which is an ABC book. I've got The Messiah's Donkey, which is an Easter story, and I've just released Noah and the Ark of Life, which is about Noah's Ark and telling the kids the real story of the rainbow. How was
the real story of the rainbow.
So it was God's promise to us, it was the covenant that he made between the earth. And I've got God willing, a Christmas one coming out at the end of the year. You talk about like explaining these things. Like I put these holy facts in my books, like at the bottom of pages where like kids may not understand certain words, and I'll break it down for them so they can really understand and really absorb what it's all about. And I love that. I love doing that. I love the process of creating these books, and I always, get I'm not sure if you're aware of Father Ben Salame. So
it's a good man, Benny.
Father
Ben.
He always reads over my books when I do a draft, make sure I'm not bending any rules and it sticks to scripture. So
where can we buy the books from, Anthony?
Man, I mean, there's a the publisher, JC Book Company, so it's jcbook.co, or, just on Amazon, man. It's probably the easiest way for everyone. They're all on Amazon. Just search me and you'll find it.
We'll get the links well. We're going to have the links underneath this episode. So just click that link, support, a local Sydney boy trying to make a difference, trying to make a change.
Can I just say one thing? Funny that you mentioned Father Ben Salame. He's actually the priest I went to that actually brought me back closer to the faith.
He's a special, special man.
I actually went to confession. He was at a church out in Cecil Hills, I think, or Bonnyrigg.
St. John the Baptist.
St. John the Baptist.
Yeah.
I just had this urge to go there. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me how.
And you didn't know he was there?
I knew who was on. I didn't know who was there. Oh, wait, no, I did know. I can't remember. But all I know, he was on a podcast, Against the Grain. Shout out to Against the Grain podcast. And then something was telling me, Bill, just go to church. like, so I just felt like I needed to be closer to my faith. Walked into this church. It was a Wednesday night. He's saying the mass, and I really, really resonated with this priest. And then they do confession after the mass. And man, can I tell you, I hadn't been in confession in a long time, and I was absolutely I was freaking out, but I knew I had to do it. Walked into the confessional room, and he's the priest, and can I tell you, just the way he communicated with me, the way he spoke, it made me feel real comfortable. So shout out to Father Ben Salame, man. He's an amazing guy.
I love that guy.
And just on confession, it's so important that we start going weekly. Like, this is what's expected of us in our faith.
Yep.
For anyone out there that hasn't been for a while, it's so daunting. And because we're so scared, we keep postponing it. And, you know, that 1 week is going to turn into, before you know it, 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I went, so my journey started 3 years ago. I was a complete mess, Anthony, broken, right? And it wasn't until I got my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ into my life that it turned around for the better. I'll never forget, I walked into confession. Shout out to Father Chris from St. Joseph's in Moorebank. He runs the Samaskan.
Oh, yeah, they're amazing.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
So they go to the Philippines and do a lot of charity out over there. Father Chris, man, I was in confession, Anthony, for an hour and a half.
Wow.
To the point my wife knocked on the door
See if you're right.
to make sure that there wasn't an exorcism happening. I just disappeared.
Yeah.
She got worried. So when I sat down, there was a card. And it had been that long, right? And the reason why I'm sharing this uncomfortable story is just do it.
Yeah.
Just go, do it.
Yeah, bro.
I knelt down, and he was waiting for me to say something, right? So I saw a card. So I started reading, oh my Jesus, and I'm reading this card, but this was the card you read after
It's act of contrition. You're reading the act of contrition.
Yeah, so you read this after you've confessed.
Yeah, the act of contrition.
So I start reading it, and he goes, no, son, stop, son, stop. He goes, we do this last.
You done it the Irish way.
Yeah. So he's walked out and got books, because he goes, I go, where do I start, Father? Like, it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
So he went and got a book. So he started reading out my sins.
Yeah, wow.
So, is it this? And I would say yes. And he went and was like, yes. Bro, at the start, I felt so dirty saying yes to all these sins. But by the time I walked out, amazing how I felt so clean.
New man.
Absolutely a new
That's
man.
Beautiful.
So anyone out there, man, just if it's been a while, just do it. Just do it is what I say.
And where can everyone find you on your socials?
At Anthony Salame, Instagram. I'm about to start a whole bunch of new stuff on my YouTube channel. So go subscribe to the YouTube if you're on that. And
any shows coming up?
Yeah. I'm actually this week I'm about to launch an international tour. I'm in Dubai and Lebanon next month, and then I've got shows all around Australia coming up in August, September. New show called The Immigrant's Kid. Check it out if you see it.
Definitely, bro.
Absolutely.
Can't wait, man.
Grab the books for your kids if that's your thing. Yeah, man. God bless you.
All the links will be in the bio of this episode. All of Anthony's socials will also be there. And tickets to your Australia gigs, when are they out?
Yeah, they'll be released, or I don't know when this is going to drop.
In 2 weeks.
Probably a couple of weeks.
All right,
So just
they'll be
after
out.
Easter.
They're out. AnthonySalame.com.au.
AnthonySalame.com.au. Get your tickets. I know we will.
Get your tickets.
We will. We'll definitely be
100, bro.
that show.
I've been telling you about. I went to the last one. I think I inboxed. I got cousin any more tickets left. You go, yeah, bro. I think there is. But
Yeah,
they're good. They're good
We'll
fun.
jump on. We'll get Phil one as well.
Yeah, that's it, man.
He'll come out with us.
Shout out to Phil.
Big boy Phil. All right,
guys.
Anthony, thank you so much for coming
Thanks
on,
for
bro.
having me, boys. God bless you. I'm loving what you guys are doing. Keep going strong. You guys are important voices for the community. And yeah, man. God bless you guys.
Thank you, my brother. We appreciate you, man.
It's been a good time.
That's it, my bro. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. See you all next week. Thank you very much. Make sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel at the BillyJoe Podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.